Hello? Is this thing working? I think it is. Right. Well, welcome everyone to the first stream here with the new community name of our unrestricted lore fair. Uh, I believe many of you probably already know me. I'm Lichmaster98. On the Discord server here, commonly known during our previous era as Xavier, but I'm going to be attempting best as I can to switch that over to Lich here for the foreseeable future. Um, Cool. Can everybody hear me all right? I think I'm doing okay volume level wise, but if ever it is too quiet or too loud, please let me know in the chat and I will do my best to read it while doing the multitude of other things. Cool. All right. Well, I don't have a webcam, so you don't get to see my face, but I do have a wonderful little page here of the website. Spreadsheets, these are a thing. So welcome to the new spreadsheet, everyone. It's nearly entirely blank, and um, I entirely mean blank, very, very blank. The entire thing is blank, with the exceptions of like the important tables like assets. Oh no, you can only see darkness. This is a problem. Uh, how about now? Okay. Note to self, if you have selective recording toggle in Streamlabs, it doesn't do this. So let me just start all over. The spreadsheet, with the exception of like this tab, which is has assets on it that should should be updated based off the results of our votes. With the exception, obviously, of the cunning assets, because that vote is still underway. And if you haven't voted in that mech vote, there's a link in the Discord server. Hey, look, I can do the bot thing if I can get my mouse over to chat. And look, we have a Discord link now. You can share that with friends, and they can join. And yeah, there's a vote in there for a few of the cunning assets that we have going underway. I think Demagogue and um, Organization Moles are ones. But this faction tracker is very blank, and yeah. So let's go ahead and get working on filling it out. Um, so cool. Let's see here. I think the first thing we should do is we'll roll up faction truths for each faction, and then we'll work on a map design so that we can figure out where these factions are going to go. I'll place the factions on the map. I'm going to be using this blank sectors without numbers map to place things on a hex grid, but I believe I have appropriately configured the spreadsheet to link into numbers display. So this is currently our blank display, and hopefully it will be here once I finish updating everything in the spreadsheet, which will probably take me some time post-stream because spreadsheets and getting the sector all set up in there takes a little bit of time. Not as nice of an interface as the sectors without numbers, but we have a bunch more customization available to us. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get started on faction truths. Uh, so, I have a table on the side that I'm going to be rolling on, and the full results of this table, along with the methodology the mods used to get it all put together, will be available after the stream. We'll put it all in a Discord post for you all to read and go through. Yeah, so that way you can see the top 27 and how other things fell, and what we did to make sure we didn't end up with like 6 factions that are all nomads or something, because while that may be interesting, it could also not produce the most varied amounts of factions. So all of that stuff will be here. Yeah, this is a 19 by 19 hex grid for anybody looking at it, starting at 0 to 18. I can see that a few questions in chat. So, let's go ahead and get started here. I have a fresh Roll20 instance because dice rolls on Roll20 work pretty well. We have a nice starscape to look at in this view. And I'll go ahead and set up a nice little macro for us because of exploration that exists. If I write #planet here, we can get a nice little easy roll up of all of the planets. So this is all just doing the same math that is displayed in the dice rolls is displayed in the book, just using tables so that we can get these things a little bit faster, and we don't spend half an hour of a stream of Lich going to a chart and then checking the chart results. We'll speed ourselves up just a little bit, hopefully. So we're going to get started here with some 27 rolls for faction truths, as that's the important things here. So we're going to start off with Faction A, and I'll be writing everything down on this spreadsheet. It will be available in a post to the factions at the top of your channels when those open pretty much immediately after the stream. You'll have a Discord post there by one of the mods, probably not me because I'm the one streaming right now, but one of them, I believe, Deeds or Nate Lander is handling that, or perhaps a Witch, but I think Witch is probably trying to go to bed relatively shortly because it's very early for them in the morning. So, with that said, this is the little layout I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and roll that first faction truth and see what our factions look like. So on our first D27, we get a 22. Let me consult the list. Okay, so this is a faction that is a cult in service of a dark god. So faction A is already got some great cult names here. Great cult vibes. Factions will be able to name themselves afterwards as part of the initial process. We'll have a full little timeline discussion right at the end of the stream so that we can go through all of the things that factions will need to get together and provide to me as a GM, along with several of the other mods that may be assisting in this early process since there's a lot of lore going on. But our second die roll here is a 13. So let's see here. I will say while I'm looking this one up, there are a few of the truths that I have already designated to conflict with each other because they either are like two sides of the same coin. So if those happen, I will just immediately be re-rolling, and I will indicate which one are in conflict. And again, all of that'll be in a post in the Discord server so you all can read that methodology afterwards. We figured it would be a little bit of an interesting to have a surprise per se of which faction truths made it for this stream. So our cult here that is in service of a dark god is also a people focused on cloners and genetic engineering. So that's going to be fun to see what you all come up with that one. And then our final faction truth here. I'm going to start rolling D25 so I don't roll the same number again. All right, we have a 5. Oh, cool. So then this faction here that is sort of a cult focused on genetic engineering and cloning is also a society broken up into clans and petty fiefdoms as a very interesting, I guess, government strategy that this faction is outlining. So we're going to go ahead and roll all the factions here. So I'm going to move on to faction B next, and then we'll go back through and assign mechanics to everybody afterwards. Let's roll that D24. And what do we get? We get a 15. All right. So a 15 is going to be a faction that our faction B here is a faction built around the crash remains of an old archive ship. So that's interesting. We know that we have some faction truths about the archives. So we know that they are sort of lost and in scattered pieces. I believe I should maybe open the certificate of immutability to make sure that I don't ramble off something here that is wrong from memory, given I have read many things here. So yeah, we know some ruins things about that this faction will need to be aware of while writing, but you know, they'll get to help establish what that looks like, which is really cool. So next up is a D23 roll to figure out this faction's next truth, which I feel like Roll20 is being awfully slow to roll these dice. Anybody else feeling that? All right, a 20. Huh. This faction. Huh. Maybe it's just feeling slow to me because I'm wanting immediate gratification from my commands. But this next faction here is a messenger guild whose leaders are chosen by a race each and every year. Uh, that one will be very interesting to see how that turns out. And now a D19 here is giving us a 12. Okay, which is this one sort of fits in an interesting way. Faction B here is also has elements of a university that are dedicated to exploring the sector and rediscovering technology of the past. Uh, these three truths fit together very well. Did I roll the wrong die? Kronos Assassin, I may have. Subtracting is hard when doing it live. Oh boy. Well, I think for one die I can say it's okay, given that I know what's all there. I'll just fix it for this next one. Yeah, and we have some conflict truths out, so that is part of my subtraction process here to make sure I don't re-roll a conflicting truth and specifically end up having to re-roll when I can avoid it. So I believe our next roll is a 21, and that'll start us off for faction C, which all maths up right because we have given out 6 truths. So let's see what faction C's first truth here is, and that's an 11. All right, so this faction here is a group of religious inventors. Religious frontiersmen and unorthodox inventors. Our next roll here is a d20. Gives us an 18. So we have. Ooh, this will be fun. We have this next faction here is also has a dangerously irresponsible use of space magic as a faction trait. So they're religious frontiersmen, unorthodox inventors who have dangerously irresponsible use of space magic. And finally, a d19 roll to get us a 4. And this faction, as sort of a government truth here, is run by a large family mafia style. By a large family, comma, mafia style. Let me get that correct. So this is a very interesting faction for sure. Heading on over to faction D. Let's see what truths they get themselves up into. I'll start off here with a D18 roll. Critical hit with the 18. Not that it matters on this table, but it's always fun. So this faction here is a group of imperialists who wish to see their power and wealth expand beyond all bounds, I would assume. What else are you going to do but expand beyond all bounds? Where's my... All right. So our next roll here with a D17 is a 3. All right. So our imperialists here are also seasoned prospectors and miners. And gives us a final roll on a d16 to figure out what this full faction's identity is at the start. Of course, factions are more than welcome to help define their own identities, and you may, in your own lore, establish a group of something that becomes true, even though it's not one of these initial truths here. These are just to make sure you get some good inspiration and have some idea of what you're joining when you join a faction. All right, so with a roll of an 8 on this d16, we get, I think I need to double check that this one isn't in our conflict list. 1 second. No, it's not. All right, so we have a set of merchants and traders who are selling some of the rarest things as well. So we'll see what happens for this faction, all things considered. Heading on over here down to faction E. I'll run through all of these factions, by the way, at the end before we move on, so that somebody can get a full list if you've missed something while we're going through these. A D15 roll is next, resulting in a 7. All right, so faction E here is starting off as a group of hunters of spaceborne fauna. And let's see what else adds to them by rolling a d14. 1. All right. These hunters of spaceborne fauna are also a massive criminal underbelly with a leadership consisting of criminal leaders. I'm sure that won't go terribly wrong for anybody ever, at all. I'm sure of it. And then our final truth here for faction E, our D13 roll here is a 7. Cool. So this is a faction that prefers to use automation and drones and robots wherever possible. All right. So we've hit a point that I want to do a small explanation about some of our methodology. So the mods grouped a few of the different government types together into a unified list so that we didn't get conflicts, and we are almost on the edge to where I'm going to have to be rolling on that list specifically so that we don't get repeats of multiple government types within a same faction, because we didn't want something that would cause a huge clash like that at the very beginning. So if I don't roll one on faction F, you'll see me switch over to rolling a D3 for the final 3 factions, just so that I don't end up in a spot where I have to reshuffle the truths afterwards, because that would be a pain to discover afterwards and fix. So we'll start off with a D12, and I will be on the lookout for it, and hopefully, I know chat can't see the list behind the scenes, but if I start to do this one of the mods will correct me. So we have a 9 next. So we have faction F here is a aquatic adapted society who lives on in. Huh. That was a grammar thing we missed. That lived on or in Ocean City. Um, this truth does prescribe something about a planet, so I will, when we get to map creation, if we don't end up with a planet that automatically rolls up Ocean Cities as the planet tag, I'd be willing to consider talking with that faction and adding it in, as it could make sense that they would have that. But we'll save that discussion for a little bit later. All right, next is a D11 roll. Which rolls us up a 9 here, which is, this is going to be a fun one, ruled by benevolent AI overlord, which apparently is misspelled. So we'll fix that on this document here. So Faction F here is an aquatic adapted society that is ruled by an AI. I didn't know electronics particularly liked water, but we'll see. It was 2. Did I misread? Wow. Okay, well, we'll save the benevolent AI overlord for later because I just can't read. Thank you, chat. Uh, and instead, this faction is an unlikely union of 2 alien races that are normally at odds. Still very interesting. And now I don't have to worry about my electronics and water. Don't worry, that Overlord truth will show up, everybody, later on. Again, this list of 27 is guaranteed to have everything show up in it from the way we're processing it, so no worries there. All right, so now we have a 9, but I think the AI has shifted positions, and we now have a different leadership uh, a different leadership-like definition here, saying that this faction explicitly has aliens and humans alike in high leadership positions, which, you know, meshes really well with the truth beforehand of having an unlikely union of 2 alien races. So that's pretty cool. Could not have planned that with dice rolls if we had tried. So, all right. Uh, I think humans can count as an alien race, unicorn of blades. I think that's a very reasonable thing here. But we'll leave that up to the faction to settle down for sure, because it doesn't have to be. Also, enjoy your newfound power there, Jill. You're now a mod. Woohoo! All right, moving on to faction G. I think at this point we do need to start rolling. I will need to begin watching out for our leadership traits here, government type. So I'm going to start off with rolling a D9 and a D8, and if we don't roll a faction government truth, I will switch over to the D3 table at that point. So our D10 starts us off with a 9 for faction G here. So this faction is a specialist in manufacturing and piloting mechs. And I think let's go ahead and roll their D8 here to see what happens. All right, so now we have a 4. Which is a group of nomads who travel the sector for relics and adventure. And then finally, I'm going to roll a D3 here so we can see about this last government truth so we can try to avoid those duplicates that cause problems. So let's roll a D3. And what do we get? We get a 3. So this faction will be ruled by a benevolent AI overlord. Cool. Faction H is next, and we can return to rolling a d6 here for this group. We've resolved that current issue. I'll go ahead and fix spelling it benevolent before we do that. All right, so we have a 3. So this faction ritualistically tattoos themselves to show off their personal achievements. And let's go ahead here and roll a d5 to figure out what's next for faction H. All right, we have a 2. So this is a group of space whalers and pirates. Sorry, let me make sure that I get the formatting correct there. So yeah, we have space whalers and pirates who ritualistically tattoo themselves to show off their personal achievements. And finally, we've got a D2 here to figure out the governor type. Nela Tavi, yes, this will be, it should be available as a VOD on Twitch immediately afterwards. And I am recording this locally. I think I missed the first minute of me rambling to a black screen on accident. But it will be uploaded to YouTube as well. And hopefully I will get significantly better at this as the months go on. So roll a d2 here to figure out our government trait so we can resolve those conflicts beforehand. So a 2 means that this faction of ritualistically tattooed space whalers and pirates have a neural network of artificial intelligence and cyborgs that can be both human and alien. And then, while I could roll dice, but I think I already know the last 3 truths. So we will skip rolling dice for the last 3 truths here. So we've got faction I as a knightly order of mech pilots. They're skills that are available for hire based out of a giant space anchorage, who are also nomadic mercenaries, who are also mechanics who use grease and industry to make a living. So our final faction there is a set of mech pilots that are available for hire, who are nomadic mercenaries and use a bunch of grease and industry as their living. So these are 2 of our. This is the final faction then. So let me run through all of them for anyone that would have shown up here, and we'll go through and go through all of them real quickly, if I can get words out. So faction A is a cult that's in service of a dark god that has people focused as cloners and genetic engineers. And they have a society broken up into clans and petty fiefdoms. Faction B is built around the crashed remains of an old archive ship that is also a messenger guild whose leader is chosen by some sort of race every year, and a university dedicated to exploring the sector and rediscovering the technology of the past. Faction C is dangerously, excuse me, I'm rating 2 at once, a religious frontiersman and unorthodox inventors, along with dangerously irresponsible use of space magic that's run by a large single mafia-style-like family. Faction D is a group of imperialists who wish to see their power and wealth expand. They're seasoned prospectors and miners, along with merchants and traders who sell some of the rarest things in the sector. Faction E is a group of hunters of spaceborne fauna that have a massive criminal underbelly with leadership consisting of the criminal leaders that prefers to use automation, drones, and robots wherever possible. Faction F is an aquatic adapted society who lives on ocean cities that has an unlikely union of 2 alien races which are normally at odds, and has aliens and humans alike in high leadership positions. Faction G is specialist in manufacturing and piloting mechs, who are nomads that travel for relics and adventure, and they're ruled by a benevolent AI overlord. Faction H ritualistically tattoos themselves to show off their personal achievements, along with being space whalers and pirates, and having a neural network of artificial intelligence and cyborgs that is can be both human and alien. And then Faction I is a knightly order of mech pilot, which skills are for hire, based out of a giant space anchorage that are nomadic mercenaries, and also mechanics who use grease and industry to make a living. All right, so let me take a few moments and see if there's any questions from chat about these factions. Obviously, I want to reserve as much of the lore creation for each individual faction for the players of those factions, but if there's any sort of clarifications that I need to make about this process, feel free to ask. I'm sure there will be memes. Literally, just there are always memes, right? So that takes care of this faction truth section of our stream. So that's part one of the several parts that we have to do. I believe there are some limits on the transhumanistic elements based off of our uh, setting truths. I would have to look at that document to get you a final answer. All right, here they are. So we have on cybernetics, we have that cybernetics are available and allowed, but the body can only take a limited amount of augmentation before there are serious consequences. And there will be cyborgs complete with mechanical bodies. Only biological brains can be created at great cost to the individual. So those are the three cybernetic truths. They're in the certificate of irrefutability, which is linked in, I believe, the updates or bulletin channel for the sci-fi setting. So you can find it there. User required. Kronos, this document can be made available after the stream in the Discord server. I'll link it there, and then each faction will have their own individual post with their truths inside of their channels as soon as they join them. So that'll all be available. You don't have to worry about taking notes, and I'm sure Ilaria has already taken better notes than I have of the factions in front of me. So yeah, this document will be available after the stream. So let's move on to the second thing that we have to do today, which is sort of map creation and then assigning faction mechanics onto that map. So we have developed a set of sort of, I would say, custom placement rules for planets in a sector. So let me talk you through them here, attempting to use Sectors Without Numbers map as a demonstration. I may end up needing to pull up my template image that was in the document originally describing this to do it the best justice, but we're going to imagine that there's a hexagon around this center point of the sector. So 0909 is the center of our 19 by 19 map, and we're building a hexagon that could be considered a 7 by 7 hexagon around it if you were like drawing a square and then fitting a hexagon inside of it. Actually, let me just take a moment to get this image up on screen, as I think it will just make more sense than me trying to talk through this without being able to color this display very easily. Give me just a second to get it. Okay, I think I have the map on screen now. So this hex map right here is a smaller version of the 19 by 19 that outlines how we're breaking up the three hexes, or this hex, into three sections. In each of these sections, we'll be placing 4 planets. Yeah, Al, I think that's right, but I think I have to have planets down to draw lines on the sector map, unfortunately. And I should have probably prepped that beforehand, but I didn't think about it. So Each one of these sections will get 4 planets. They'll be rolled up using the same way we would roll them up in the book. There may be some default customization to, or some GM customization to these planets, as I want any planets that I pick to be a homeworld to be TL4 for the factions, so we just don't have to worry about that concern. Um, so that'll be a modification that is made to any of these starting planets. But we're going to place 4, and I'm going to start with this blue quadrant up here, or I guess it's not really a quadrant because there aren't 4 of them, but this top blue section of the hex map, which, if we jump back over here, is a 4. Maybe I can use navigation routes. Is, stop it, these 4, and then these 3. So this little section right there, I have the math written down in a notepad to help me out. So what we're going to be doing to roll for this group is roll a d4 plus 6 and then a d3. So we'll use a d4 to travel along this axis, and then we'll use a d3 to travel along this axis. And I'll place a planet there, and I'm going to let Sectors Without Numbers here handle generating moons and moon bases and asteroid bases, because the rulebook doesn't actually provide tables to just roll on and the probabilities of how you should distribute those throughout a sector. The rule book for Stars Without Numbers pretty much suggests it should just be GM discretion. But I would prefer something that is just going to tell me the probability chances, so we're just going to use Sectors Without Numbers for all of those extra locations. So let's go start off with our first planet here in this initial group. We're rolling 4 planets here. So we're going to roll a d4 plus 6. We're rolling 4 planets, and then we will place 3 factions into each section. And then that way there will be 1 unclaimed planet available in each section here, and we'll go from there. So a 10 on the initial die puts us in one of these 3 spots here. And then let's see what we get on the d3. We get a 3, so we're going out 3, and we're going to be placing a planet right here. I'm just going to go ahead and randomize the name and click create. So this planet, we are going to not use anything that Sectors Without Numbers rolled up for it. We're going to do it all ourselves because that sounds like more fun. We'll use our macro over here that we'll be using during the exploration portion of any thing. Well, that sort of sucks. Yeah, well, it's not going to be a TL5 planet. I'm sorry, everyone. Thanks, Kronos. I will turn those off. It won't be a TL5 planet, unfortunately, because that's just not going to be a thing that exists other than the center planet there, probably, maybe. But let's go ahead and edit this to, well, leave it as TL4 for now, and its biosphere is now immiscible. I think there is a slight discrepancy between my table and the Sectors Without Numbers. I believe I have like variable cold, and the Sectors Without Numbers uses like cold to temperate as their display, so we'll just have to account for that in the various sections. It's frozen. We have a breathable mixed atmosphere. We've got, how many population tags do we have? Hundreds of millions. And then we have heavy mining and cheap life as our 2 planet tags, which I guess are down here. So cheap life and heavy mining are our 2 planet tags. So this sets up the planet of Gome, which Dr. Sordidus, I entirely agree. I read that as Gnome initially, but it is Gome. So we'll keep that in mind. And let's go figure out where our next planet's going to be here by rolling another d4 plus 6, and then D followed by a D3. So we're going to be ending up in spot 9, and then a +2. So a 9 puts us right here, and then 2 puts a planet right there. And we're going to get a deep space station in this this sector. Or sorry, this system. Apologies. So we'll be generating the planet of Moth here. Let's go roll it up in our Roll20 instance. And so this planet has no native biosphere, is variable cold. So let's go ahead and edit that. So it has no native biosphere. It's variable cold to temperate. It has a breathable mix and is a failed colony. So, and then it is TL4, and then it has a civil war and heavy industry as its 2 faction tags. And it appears that this one has some moons and as well. So civil war and a heavy industry. We had heavy mining last time, so 2 different ones. Also, hello Orbis. Wow, I wish I could do the appropriate pronunciation there, Unicorn, for the accent, but I'm sure I will screw it up, so I will not give you the pleasure of clipping me and mispronouncing a word. So let's go ahead and roll up our next planet for this hex, and I'm gonna try to go through this a little bit faster so it doesn't just get too tedious. All right, so we have a 7, and then we're going out 2. So we have a planet right here with another deep space station. And this planet has a miscible biosphere and is variable warm. Miscible, variable warm, and then it has a corrosive atmosphere and is the population size of outposts. It's a TL4 planet that has a Mandarinate and has local tech. So Mandarinate, I'm sure somebody will come up with somewhat of a different explanation for what the Mandarinate is, but because that sort of comes from more basic stars without numbers lore, but I'm sure somebody will find an alternative in our setting, and we'll probably be able to work on that as a community. Kronos is asking, I'm going to place faction homeworlds manually out of these 4 planets for each section. So this section we're rolling out right here, factions A, B, and C will be going into, and we'll be doing that once I finish rolling up this final planet here. Oop, D4 plus 6, not a D6 plus 4. All right, so a 9, and then a D3, 2. I believe that places another planet where we already have, which is fine. All right, how do I add a planet? There it is. So this is his. Actually, I think this is his, but I'm going to change it to his because I just mispronounced it, and now I'm right. uh, let's roll up this final planet for this section here that has no native biosphere. No native biosphere. Is warm, has a thick atmosphere. Has tens of millions as a population and is TL4. I guess several million is this one. It's TL4, and we have xenophobes and rigid culture as our 2 planet tags. So that places our 4 planets in this section. So there are 2 planets here in Koprapat. We're gonna go with that. Go Grapat? Yeah, go Grapat. I'm gonna go with that. Hi and Thusis are our sections over here. So factions A, B, and C we have to place here. Oop, wrong dock. So faction A is a cult in service of Dark God. Okay, let's go ahead and put down a few notes for homeworlds here. Do I have the wrong first tag on his? Oh, it didn't update. Thank you for catching that. It should have been xenophobes. So, there we are. Rigiculture and xenophobes, thank you. So we've got the cult of a dark god with genetic cloners, some religious frontiersmen, and a archive ship faction in here. So I'm going to assign homeworlds and stat lines at this point. So this goes for all 3. So faction A here, we're going to place them out here on Thusis, who I think also has the wrong tags. Maybe I didn't update these. Which was... This should have been Mandarinate and local tech, correct? I believe that's what it was, because this was 7-2. Yep. Okay, so this should have been Mandarinate. Maybe I didn't click save. And local tech. Or maybe I didn't wait for it to save. It may be more accurate. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place faction A here on Levuson. Lesveon. Yeah, Lesveon as their homeworld. So homeworld 0807. Let me find the system name of Thusis. So they're their homeworld. And they're going to get a 653 stat line of choice. And it is a... It is a homeworld, so we'll make sure it is TL4 here. So this is the first homeworld here. And then faction B here, we're going to place them here on Hith. In what hex is this? 1008, which is a system's name that I'm not going to continue to mispronounce on stream because I don't know how to pronounce it. And I've totally put this in the wrong field. And they're going to get a 432 or a 431 with 2 XP to start. And then faction C here is also going to be a 432 or 431 with 2 XP. And then they're going to be right here in Moss, the other planet in the same system. So 1008, got Pratic, and Moss. Chronos Assassin, the 653 in each of these sections is the first one. So for D, E, and F, it'll be D, and then for G, H, and I, it'll be G. I had pre-decided that beforehand just so there wasn't any influence of the faction truths on my pick. So faction D here, we need to go set up the sections that faction D, E, and F are going to be in. So going back to our chart that I accidentally scrolled off of, this red section down here is our next section of space we're going to add 4 planets into. So again, back on here, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, down by 3, so this little section of space. To roll in this section, we're going to roll a d4 plus 8, and then we'll roll a d3 and travel down south from there. So a d4 plus 8 is first. And then a d3. So we have 10 and 2, so 10, 1, 2. So right here, we're going to add a planet. And it has a hybrid biosphere with a burning temperature. Burning temperature, hybrid biosphere. And then it is corrosive and invasive atmosphere with billions of people living on it. This sounds just like a planet I'd love to live on, with all of those people. It's a theocracy and has forbidden tech. Nice, forbidden tech, theocracy. I'm going to go check real quick that both of these planets are TO4, as I forgot to check that. They are. Cool. So, Mancura Nita is quite a planet to live on for sure. Let's roll up our next planet in this section. We have a 9, a 2, and then this is what our planet's going to look like. So that places us right next to our friend. We only want 1 planet for now, thank you. So this planet is immiscible and has a warm temperature. Warm, has an immiscible biosphere. It is an invasive atmosphere with tens of millions of people, which, as we've learned, is several millions on here. TL2 for the moment. It'll probably get fixed. And then pre-tech cultist and a radioactive world. Cool. And then our third planet for this section goes 12 and 1. All right, so that's right there. And it is no native biosphere and warm. Warm. No native biosphere. It has hundreds of millions and as an inert atmosphere. It's TL4 with warlords and a hostile biosphere. Hostile biosphere makes no sense because there is no biosphere on this planet. So I'm going to just have to re-roll that one. Fine, that I thought should have worked, but Gold Rush is our other tag for this planet. Makes more sense than hostile biosphere on a planet with non-biosphere. And then our final planet in this section is going to be placed right here. It's going to be a research base in here, and this has an immiscible biosphere with warm temperature. Arid, immiscible, warm. We're airless or thin and have millions of people. Sorry, which millions? Just flat out millions. We'll go with several again. And then it is PL2 as a prison planet and a pleasure world. Cool. And now we have... Did I miscount? Do I need one more planet in this section? I do. All right. So 11 and then 1. That was supposed to be planet. So 11 and then 1. Oh, nope. I have all 4. I forgot this is in this section. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's place our factions now that we have that. So I'm going to place faction D, which is a 653. Down here in 0911 in the Astra system. And they have the planet right now of Ardurlast. All right. Faction E's homeworld, and their stat line is a 432. They still have the option of the 431. I'm going to quit rewriting it, and actually I'm just going to copy and paste like I should. And they're going to be placed on a homeworld over here in the Minta system of 1209. The Minta system on Euristio. I think I'm adding a syllable there. 3. Wrong tab. And then faction F. Going to get a homeworld. Which one of these do I prefer? I'm going to go with the Hella system. So 1210. And Hella. And then that places us on the planet of Kardurak. If any of these planets aren't TL4 on this on sectors without numbers, I will fix it for the sheet, the spreadsheet. Again, the spreadsheet will be the official place for the map once we finish up this development. Yeah, if you're new here, you can join our Discord server, as Very Big Brain has pointed out there. We'll be developing this sci-fi setting, which is yet to be named. The faction is actually going to be on it. And we'll go from there to figure out what all you get to get set up. Yeah, I don't see any reason why the warm planet can't be aquatic. We can add a specific faction tag to it if needed, or the ocean cities. And this one's also a 432. We complete these notes. So our final set of factions is G, H, and I, and they're going to be going in this yellow bit here. So this point in time, I'm going to stick with rolling a d4, and we'll be rolling on here, and then we'll be traveling in this sort of northwest direction on the d3 axis. So over here, that's these 4, and then these 3 region of space. So if I roll a d4 plus 8, that'll give me the vertical number, and then I can roll a d3. So we have a 12 and a 2, so that puts us here, and then 2 puts us right there. We need 1 planet, and that planet has no native biosphere, is warm with an invasive atmosphere, and has millions of people, and is TL3. Several millions works. Our planet tags are Pleasure World and Forbidden Tech. Well, I guess we can have 2 Pleasure Worlds. All right, next planet location in this section is a 10 and then a 3. So right there and then out to here. We only need 1 planet, thanks. And this planet is going to look like this. So it's going to have a hybrid biosphere with a temperate temperature. Hybrid and temperate. It has a corrosive and invasive atmosphere. And then there's tens of millions of people that are TL2. And our planet tags for this planet are Hatred and Badlands World. Hatred, not in... Oh, it's already on there. That's why it's not showing up. Badlands World and Hatred. Ah, Hatred was already one of the ones that had rolled. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. Time for 2 new planets. And while I roll this, I think I saw a question in chat. Let me go read it. Is the plan for nomads still to give them the house pixness treatment with homeworld movement? I am willing to discuss it with them. So it is potentially possible that whichever planet the nomads end up on changes. It would change. It would be functionally the same for turn 0, so it's not a huge concern. But if there is an update like that, it'll be announced at the turn 0 stream for sure, as I will talk with those factions and we'll figure out what they want to do. All right, so now we got 9 and 1. Let's figure out what that planet's going to look like while I go place it. So 9 and 1 is right here, right next to the center planet. This system, by the way, will not be named Center. I named it Center so that I knew where Center was. Um, this is a miscible planet with a variable warm atmosphere. Miscible, hey, variable warm. Did I roll all the same things? No. This has a thick atmosphere and has hundreds of million populations that are beastmasters and a theocracy. Wrong one. Hundreds of millions that are beastmasters and a theocracy. Are they the same TL? No, they should be TL2. And then one more for this section, and this will be the last planet that we know of in our system at the start, which will be 10 and 1. So right here, another planet right next to that center hex. Sage of the Wood, I think I may end up letting the factions in play decide that system name. There's some stuff to be talked about that planet, but not for this stream. So this final planet here, let's finish making it off. We have our initial outline of a map. Wow, 2 TL5 rolls that just unfortunately get nixed. Biosphere is immiscible and warm temperate. And did I say immiscible or miscible? I can't remember. Immiscible. And then we have tens of millions and a corrosive and invasive. Wow, our sector is just really not too great to live in. And then it'll be TL4, and then Beastmasters. We just did a Beastmasters, didn't we? Feel like we did. Yes, we did. I'm going to reroll Beastmasters. Right there. Gonna reroll Beastmasters again. Way to spite me. Shackled World. I'll take that. We'll add a eugenics cult and a shackled world. Hey, this planet's got 2 moons. Alright, so that gives us our 4 planets in this sector. And I saw a question about, are we only having 1 planet per system, or are we just rolling homeworlds? So our initial starting place, I was rolling to place planets in hexes. In fact, 1008 here has 2 planets in it by random roll. When we do exploration, it's going to work slightly differently. They're going to be on, hopefully on the sector map that has numbers integration into it. We'll be able to have little indicators for points of interest for places that people can go explore. And when a faction shows up there the first time, I will be rolling a d6. 1 through 3 will be 1 planet. 4 or 5 means there will be 2 planets, and a 6 means there are 3 planets in that given hex. But for this starting arrangement, I was just rolling to place 4 planets in each of the little sections on the board. So, and then we'll be placing homeworlds out of those. So for this final section, I'm going to place our 653 on the planet of Asta. So that'll be faction G. So that's 0711. Asta is the planet, and Bazaar is the system name. And they are a 653 faction. All right. Homeworld for H here is going to be over here in 0609 in the Tuthum system. And they have the planet of Dine. Okay. So 0609, the Tuthum system and I'm totally going to mispronounce it. I should just copy and paste. In the Dyna system, and they have a stat line that is the 432 or 431 with 2 XP, up to the faction's choice, and they can submit that. And then faction's I's homeworld here, I'm going to be placing them. Believe I placed that. Yeah, I'm going to place faction I here on 0809 in the Kacho system of the planet of Sihi. 0809 Kacho Sihi. And the stat line is 432. All right, so that takes care of these uh, these stat line and homeworlds. Yes, Tooth is back, but this time it's a system and not a planet. I believe I had somebody ask somewhat earlier in the stream. Oh, do we have a duplicate planet name, Cal or Turbo? If I have a duplicate planet name, I do need to legitimately fix that because numbers display is gets all confused with duplicated names. So you said there was a duplicate in 0711 of Asta and one of the planets over here. Actually, there's a better list for this. Oh, a planet and a system. Well, okay. Well, it should be able to handle that. Um. Hmm. Okay. I had two systems that were named the same to bug out the sheet, but a system and a planet should be fine. But yeah, it may get confusing. That is very true. Well, I was getting ready to say I'm willing to open to letting places reroll their names, but I think for the moment, just to avoid that confusion, I will reroll the planet name of Asta. I don't know if I actually. Oh, I can. That's nice. So is Ingrid a repeat? We did have Imperial Prime last time for sure, but that would make more sense in the same system than in two different, like a system and then a planet rather than a system name and then a planet name that's on the other side of the map. So we don't have an Ingrid, so we'll switch it. We'll switch Asta over to Ingrid. So I think that's the one I changed. Yeah, the planet name. So faction G is now on the homeworld called Ingrid and not Ingrid. But that's takes care of the initial stuff. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go ahead and repeat it now. This sheet will be available for everybody in the Discord server. Exclamation mark Discord in the chat. I'll get you the link to join if you're not already in there and you're new here and just finding us on Twitch. Or in YouTube, it'll be in the description below. So that takes care of all of these factions and their mechanics outlines. Let me go through sort of the process now for the timelines and things. Let me just pull those up to make sure I don't mess up the timelines myself. And then let me double check these. Okay, there's my timeline information. So let me double check I did everything I meant to do today. Oh, I need to update the center planet in this map actually real quick before I forget. It's TL4 plus. The rest of the stuff can be left as originally randomly rolled, and it has the tag great work. And that's its only tag for the moment. I am going to fix the center name so that it's just center rather than all caps. Cool. So timelines is the next thing to talk about. Um, so faction joining should be available immediately after the stream. If for some reason there's a problem, that'll be communicated in the Discord. But I think it should all be working. Somebody, some other mod can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not actively looking at Discord at the moment. Um, the next sort of deadlines that factions need to be aware of is once you've joined a faction, we sort of expect your first thing to sort of be to coordinate who is your faction rep, because again, I only want one person from a faction to be the designated person to submit to me all of your official statements. So hopefully you can get that all worked out, and then we'll assign that, and that'll give factions access, a little bit easier access to their bulletins channel. I think for this first starting bit, the mods will be more than willing to assist in some regards of getting some information into those channels if we need to, and I'll be around to sort of answer any mechanical questions factions may have. If you have other things like that, for sure. I can share this sector map. Keep in mind some of the tech levels are wrong. If there's a homeworld on here, it is TL4 actually for that planet, but I will get a sector map posted in the Discord as well. And then I'm going to immediately following the stream update the spreadsheet, so hopefully I'll be able to share that link here shortly, and we'll be able to start seeing the stars of that numbers map populate that numbers built, because it looks significantly cooler than this system. So yeah, I figure factions will get their faction reps together. Hopefully you can simultaneously do that by attempting to give me, as a GM, 2 stat line options. So each faction you saw was allotted some layout, either the 653 or the 432. You can elect to propose a 431 and get 2 for starting experience alternatively. And you need to propose 2 stat line options to me. So this would be for a 653, you could propose, 6 force, 5 wealth, 3 cunning, or you could propose 6 cunning, 5 wealth, and 3 force. I want 2 options from every group, so then I will take those and use them to hopefully minimize the number of repeats we get in the 653 stat line. And I'm less concerned per se with the 432s, because it would take some luck to get all 6 of you with all 6 permutations. But I would like to have that. You're welcome to submit that to me with some sort of, lore-based reasoning for why you think one stat line is more preferable for you than the other. I'm willing to have that discussion with you, and I'll be around this week in Discord to either answer questions in chat, or if you're having a VC or whatnot, I can jump in and answer them there. So those stat line options will be due to me via DMs from your faction rep on August 24th, on noon Eastern, on August 24th. Again, this information will be in the Discord afterwards. The results of all of those deadlines will be announced on the Discord within 24 hours, hopefully as fast as I can get that information around to you all. The sooner you get information to me, the sooner I will get it back out. But again, I realize that a week is already sort of pressing it, so I expect that to take pretty much the entirety of this next week. After the stats have been finally announced, I will have each faction submit 2 faction tag requests. For the moment, you can only use the ones that are in the rulebook. I know there are some in there that we just will throw out entirely, because the one about building starships and needing so many people is just obviously something that isn't going to work. We'll use some of the other tags. I'm open to discussion with custom faction tags, but we're going to wait for that until after these initial assignments. We're going to start with ones that are in the book for now. And those will be due to me at midnight, August 31st. Again, you can submit a lore justification if you'd like with each of those. And then finally, starting assets will be due to me at that same time, 11:59 p.m. on August 31st. All these times are Eastern. I know we're used to working on PST, but I'm in the Eastern time zone, so that makes life easier for me if I give them in mine. And then assets, starting assets work in this way. Let me talk through it. So the 653s get 6 assets, and the 432s get 4. A faction can either elect to pick all 6 of their assets and then place 3 of them on the map on any planet, and I will place the other 3. Or they can elect to select all 6 asset locations along with 3 different asset types, and I will pick the 3 other assets. That is also a sliding scale. So if you want to pick 4, I'll place, if you want to pick 4 and I pick 2 of your assets, then you can place 5 of the assets and I'll only place 1. If there's a better explanation of that in text, I will make sure it is posted with the deadline information, and I will be sure to answer any questions before people submit in their asset picks to me, and I will clarify with your faction reps at that point or in specific faction channels. If there are any mods listening, can somebody tell me either in chat or I guess ping me in Discord to let me know if joining factions should work? Because I think I'm about wrapped up here on the stream. I can't think of a whole lot else that I have to do with this. We've built a map, and I'll get the link out immediately after the stream. Well, maybe not immediately, but within a few minutes of the stream ending. We've built our faction truths. I've gone over the timeline. I think that's everything that I had for today. So I thank everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the first stream back here as we're getting it under our belts and figuring out how we're going to be doing this going forward. I'll hopefully okay, still waiting. Got it. Hopefully we'll have our first stream for turn 0 in the beginning of September. It'll either be another middle of the week stream, which I know is not ideal, but it may be the case early in September, or we will wait till the first weekend of September to do that stream. Final date TBD, but it'll be announced. Probably, I'll just go ahead and say it'll be announced at the same time as when all of the faction stats when the faction stats are announced. At that point in time, so that everybody has the same information then. But cool. Also, thanks, Switch. So yeah, we'll let everyone know in Discord when that is ready to join. It should function very similarly to the old bot, even with the new one that we have set up now. Passport control will be more than willing to stamp your passport here momentarily. So yeah, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for the first stream. We'll get this information out to you in hopefully digestible ways. And thanks a lot for watching.